Alright gang, so the Linux team here, we decided it would be kind of helpful to have a little show and tell on some commands rather than just talking about them. So here we've got a backtrack running with the terminal open and we are root. So if we want to know what's in this, what's in our current directory, we can do an ls and we find desktop is in there. If we do a pwd, we can find out the name of the directory we're actually in, and that is /root. So one of the things we would like to show you is how to make a directory, and that is make dir mkdir. Let's make a directory called junk. Alright, so now if we do an ls, we'll see that there is both desktop and junk in our current directory. So now to change directory, we would do a cd junk. Now we are in the junk directory, as you can see. And if we do an ls, we can see which files are in the junk directory. Currently there are none. There's a command that we could use to make a file in here, and we could use the well, first of all, here, let's look at this. There is a command called clear that takes you to the top of the screen and clears up everything else, so that helps in a situation particularly like this. There's a ps command that shows the process list of processes and services that are running. That's a pretty small amount of data, but there are a couple processes running, so we will show you that. Now if we do this same command, ps, only we direct that to a file, let's call it stuff. Alright, we just directed the output of ps to stuff. So now if we do an ls, we will see the contents of the directory junk, and we will see that we have stuff in junk. And if we cat stuff, we'll see the output of ps, which makes sense because we took the command ps, directed it to stuff. Alright, so now we have a folder called junk with stuff in it. Alright, now we'd like to make a copy of stuff, so we will copy stuff into another file called nonsense. So now if we do an ls, we see that our folder junk is filled with stuff and nonsense in alphabetical order. Now these two files, if we cat stuff, we see what's in it, and we cat nonsense, we see what's in it, which is indeed the same thing. Let's change that. Let's change that real quick. We will use the most common editor in the Unix Linux world called VI, and we will VI stuff. Alright, I'm going to hit the letter I for insert mode. You can see that I went into insert mode, and now we will say this is the file that we chose to edit with VI. Alright, now I'm going to hit escape, colon, brings me into command mode, write and quit, WQ. So as you can see, it is not a intuitive editor, but it is an editor nonetheless. Now we will cat stuff, and we see our changes. This is the file that we chose to edit with VI. Alright, so those are pretty obvious changes. Now if we do ls again, we see our two files. If we do ls in a long fashion, we'll see our files. We have stuff and nonsense. You can see that stuff and nonsense are different size, which makes sense. Now let's use another command called compare. CMP will compare stuff and nonsense. Alright, they differ. Byte 3, There's 3 bytes that differ. Now, let's do the difference between stuff and nonsense. And we will see that they differ by all these different ways. So that's pretty cool. Those are the differences between stuff and nonsense. All right? Now, let us try moving. Let's see. Let's do this. We'll change directory back into plain old root directory, and we will make a file by touching it. That's one way to make a file in a Linux or Unix system. Let's touch more junk. Nah, more stuff. More stuff's better. Now, if I do an ls, I will see I have more stuff and the directory junk. All right, so let's move more stuff into junk. All right, since we moved it, it's no longer there. But if we change directory into junk, we will see that junk has stuff, more stuff, and nonsense. All right, so now what else do we want to do? We want to delete all this stuff and nonsense and junk. All right, so let's go back down to here and we'll say remove junk. It says you can't do that because there's stuff in it. All right, so we could do this a couple different ways. We could take the stuff out of junk, or we can say remove this thing recursively. All right, remove junk recursively. So now it's gone. So we have effectively removed all our junk stuff and nonsense. All right, now if you want to know about things like that, there's a manual command. Man in front of any command that you've seen tonight will tell you what you can do with that command. And you hit the space bar to page down. Okay, so if you want to man rm, pipe that to grep, and you can look for -r. That didn't work worth a darn. So let's man this and do this instead. We'll man rm and we will search for -r. There it is. All right, so that is called recursive. All right, then the remove prompts whether it's okay or just plain kills the stuff, which is what we did. So Q gets you out of that. Now, one last thing I wanted to show you before we quit and you go to sleep or something is top. That tells you the top processes that are running and how much of your resources they are consuming. CPU, 4.6% of your CPU is in use, 3.3% of your memory. Okay, and that's what the top does. And I think that's about all we wanted to talk about. All right, well, we hope you enjoyed the little presentation here.